Отже, вітаю усіх. У рамках фестивалю форуму Art Success проводимо інтерв'ю із митцями-учасниками. And so let's switch in English. And first of all, I would like to invite Katharina to start our conversation and to tell about how idea came up.
Yeah, Goethe-Institut started to collaborate with the partners you see here in 2018 for the first time. It was for an exhibition which was called What is Important, which was created by Maria Lanko and Lisaveta German and funded by the Federal Foreign Office. And actually, this was the first big project that the Goethe-Institut Ukraine did in the field of inclusion and culture for the first time. And when you start to work in such fields, I guess you also begin to question your own activities that you have done so far. You start to wonder how inclusive your programs are and how inclusive your offers are. And I guess that one of the most popular format at Goethe-Institut are the artist in residency programs. And I must admit that so far we had never before a residency which was inclusive. So we are very proud that this year we could implement the first German-Ukrainian inclusive residency program together with the partners we see here today. And even more, what we have done for the first time, it was our first digital residency program because of COVID-19. We decided not to stop our activities, but to find a plan B. And so for the last 10 or more than the last 10 weeks, the Kunsthaus KAT18 and Atelier Normale and the artists were working together digitally. They connected once a week. They presented their favorite places in their cities. They discussed different topics. And this actually led finally to new works. And of course, the highlight also for the public audience is probably in the end the presentation of the works that have been created during the residency program in the event, also an online event, which is called Unpacking Residency.
I'm sure it's easier to imagine what this art residency looks like in the offline format. And maybe you could describe how, for example, participants is acting during online residency, how it is organized.
Yeah, the Kunsthaus KAT18 and Atelier Normale, together with our partner Touchdown 21 and the artists, they connected once a week digitally, like joining different cameras from the ateliers and also with cameras that detail the works that they are working about. But our partners also took the opportunity to get out of the ateliers to because normally you believe that the residency program also are interesting because the outside of the atelier has some influence on the artists. So this is what they included digitally. But yeah, also the discussions that usually go along with residency programs were, I guess, one of the core points when meeting online.
Thank you so much. So I think we'll switch to the conversation with Katja. And at the beginning, I would like to ask about your interest to cooperate with Ukrainian partners.
I think it was a mixture. We are interested in cooperating with Goethe because, as we know, and I know all my life, Goethe is everywhere on the whole world. It's a question of communication, language, and culture. So that's interesting for our project, Touchdown 21. And we were lucky that Goethe-Institut from Kiev, Ukraine, contacted us because for our mixed team, people with and without Down syndrome, it was also possible to kind of get familiar with a foreign country, not German with a foreign language, but with a kind of European country. It was easy for us to adapt there, to go there, but just the same, we could experience the differences. And that was it was very interesting, and we were looking forward to work together in a mixed team, Ukrainian-German. And so we accepted the deal, Katharina.
Tell me more about your expectations.
We wanted to, first of all, to get to know a new country and the city and the culture and the history. And we experienced a bit of that, but then also, but we didn't have expectations. We wanted to get to know the artists and the whatever performances, the curators, all that. But we didn't have expectations because we didn't know anything. And we expected to know more about Stas, your art, your culture after that. And the exhibition, the two curators made what's important, the topics we developed together, but all the pieces of art we saw from the Ukrainian artists and from the artists with Down syndrome was new for us. And so we kind of stepped into the future and experienced a different point of view. And we were interested in the impact, the dynamic political situation you have in the Ukraine, to experience the vitality, the power, for example, of these two young female curators. It's not normal in Germany. Here in Germany, we always have old men, elder than 50 or something, yes, but young women in that age are also able to do that, and they have the chance, and Goethe made it possible. And so we wanted to be part of this big experience. And so, yeah, something like that.
Speaking about this kind of interesting experience, I'm sure it's very important to communicate it to the broader audience. Tell me more about the experience of Touchdown 21, about your work and your experience of communication.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that's very important for us. We want people to understand the possibilities you have everywhere. The diversity of people working together is interesting. I personally think it's far more interesting to work together if you're different than always the same kind of group. And in the last 10, 20 years, everyone realized that in Germany, at least, that our projects are kind of naturally inclusive projects, because we are interested in getting to work with people that are totally different. And people with Down syndrome are different. People from other countries are different. You don't have anything that's normal. It's a great, inspiring combination. And so that's what I wanted the society to realize. First of all, the partner Goethe is great because they already have the structure all over the world, and they understand what we want to do. I don't have to convince them, and they are interested. They don't say, oh, we don't have to translate. Who's going to want to listen in Ukrainian or Russian? And they understand it's important to translate, to respect different languages and cultures, and find out a way to transport the difference working together. And yeah, for example, this interview now, that's an example, and I hope the whole world will be able to see that and hear it, and we will communicate it to all our fans, and they are interested. We made a magazine, Orenkus, it was called Ukrainia, and the people were totally fascinated to see the photos, to see what the Ukrainian colleagues had written and so on. The people actually, I think, naturally are longing to understand and get to learn to know more about other countries and cultures. And that's so very rewarding to work together. So thank you, Katharina, Stas, and KAT18, everyone, for this big experience. And I hope it'll go on in the next year and inspire other Goethe-Institutes all over the world to work like this. That's great.
It's so inspiring to hear it, and I think now we can hear about Ukrainian perspective, and I'm inviting Stas to join our discussion.
I'm glad to be in the first public feedback meeting about our residence. And I want to say that I can't say a lot about residence before quarantine, because it was only preparing, only plans, which we must like 100% changed. And it's also interesting how we can make adaptation of quarantine and all activities. And I want to say that for Atelier Normale, quarantine is was and now it's a time of big changing and challenge, and also a time of big winning. And we're not glad about quarantine situation, but I think we can use it for our, for example, our artists now more self-organized and more independent from us, also from parents, from maybe from and about how it's going during quarantine, I want to say that I was in residence few times in my life, in a big residence in another country, in Ukraine also. My colleagues from Atelier Normale also was, and I think we mostly planned something activities online, something more task, and we planned about task-oriented residence. But from first meeting, we understanding that, of course, we think about task, but mostly it was really exciting exchanging of inspiration. And mostly it's not about produce of work, of course. And I saw, for example, how people who took part in residency with from our side, from Atelier Normalno, start to working more different. I don't know how it's working, because, for example, they so inspired that at home, yes, before during between meetings, they produce some new works, new series. They start to work in the new media. And I think it's, of course, of its inspiration from dialogue with German artists, because it's really exciting that our artists, Iryna Slavinska, Valentin Radchenko, Anya Sapon, and Sasha Stashenko, was so glad and so tried to make dialogue with artists from Germany, with Nico, with Anna Rosa, with Susanne, and it was great that, and maybe this is first time when they are talking one by one to the foreign artists, and can ask everything. And also it's like competition maybe a little bit, yes, because they understand that, okay, we are also artists and they are artists, maybe we can also make something great. Like, yes, it looks like something like this. It was a great time, and to analyze, I think, and analyze and results, we will see a long after this residence also.
Thank you so much. So I'm sure it was a very interesting experience for you. And now I would like to hear about the experience of Nico. And maybe Nico could tell us about this residency for him as an artist.
Yeah. I should say the residence with Kiev was very interesting, and the tasks we got were very interesting. And the tasks were not so easy, and I actively cooperated and have managed very good these tasks. And generally it was very interesting and informative, and I was glad to participate. And our interpreter was also good to help us. And generally, I can say I am glad to cooperate, to have cooperate with you. It was a great cooperation during all the meetings and the tasks we got. Were very interesting. I also may say perhaps that a group of cool and interesting people. I was very glad with cool and interesting people to cooperate with such cool and interesting people during all this time.
I really felt them very very close in the moments where we met, and I really also like your work that you are doing. I think it's really great that you build up this atelier and give this development to this wonderful people. This was a really great experience for us. And I would really love to continue working with you. Yeah, I also like the moments most when we left our concept. Regularly we started with the concept, but then the artists took over. Yeah, the artists, they developed their own ideas, and this was always much more interesting than the task we had created in advance. And these are, for me, my personal highlights when this happens, that a real concept is created. Yeah, and I want to thank you, Katharina from Goethe-Institut, that you invited us for this wonderful project, and also Katja and Stas for this wonderful cooperation.
Thank you all. I think it was a perfect exchange and a good opportunity to thank each other and to have very important conclusions about this wonderful work and this wonderful project. I think it's it's okay. So I would like to thank you, and I hope this project will have a good continuation in future.